Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. I'm your host, Big Les. Let's go through your Super Saturday of rugby league. The Dragons, the Raiders, the Bulldogs, the Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Titans. All of these games, really solid games of football. Dragons and Raiders, we'll go through that first. Dragons dropping the ball a little bit. Obviously couldn't score a try in that second half. Looked great in the first half. Then the Raiders, about halfway through that first half, just really started to put the foot down, scored some good tries, and really put the Dragons to bed. Then the second half, the Dragons just had no answer for the Raiders' attack. The Raiders just went on an absolute tangent and were pretty much parked down in the Dragons' own end. In regards to some of the stats, let's have a look. 51% of the ball went to the Dragons in this game, 83% completions as well. The Raiders only completed at 70% with 49% of the ball. They still managed to be the dominant team in that second half. 14 errors to 11, plenty of errors in this game. Not too many penalties conceded, which has been a nice little change to this round. Not too many penalties this round. 5 there for the Dragons, 4 for the Raiders. But in regards to the defense, again, the Raiders, 32 missed tackles, 28 missed tackles there from the Dragons. You look at the stats, and you'd think that the Raiders would have lost this game, but they stayed in the fight. Some really solid attack from them, and they managed to get the job done. Let's talk about the Dragons first. Terrific start to the game off the back of Moses Sully. Some great runs from him, 223 metres off 19 runs, 4 tackle busts. He was an absolute weapon and didn't miss a tackle either. Matt Fainay started the game really solidly in that first half with 153 run meters, 62 post contact. He was just a gun. Defensively in that second half, though, fell off a bit of a cliff there. Lomax, I thought he had a pretty solid game, particularly in the second half, just defense-wise and also just trying to get his team back in the game. I thought that DeBellin was unbelievable through the middle, and so was Francis Molo. They started off the game terrifically, and they really tried to get this team back into a swing of things. Jacob Little, 162 run meters out of dummy half. The start to his game, he only scored 2 tries to start this game. Jacob Little, he was outstanding in that first half. I thought that Jaden Sewer had the game of his life too. 18 runs, 190 meters. The Dragons had all of the excuses to get the go forward through this game. They had the momentum, particularly in the start of that game. Look at all of these stats. DeBellin 200 meters, Francis Molo 160 meters, Jaden Sewer 190 meters. They had the go forward that they needed. Even Couchman off the bench ran for 100 meters. Raymond Faitala-Mariner 95 meters there as well. They had the ingredients to get the go forward that they needed to win this game, and all of the stats were in their favour. They had the possession. They had less missed tackles, less errors. They had all of the ingredients to win this game. I don't know where it went wrong. They defended their asses off in the second half and really tried to hold the Raiders out, but in terms of their attack in the second half, they just had no answers, or no questions, I should say, to throw at that Raiders defense. And Ben Hunt is a big reason of that. His first half was great. He had 2 try assists, tackle bust in there as well, 22 tackles, 642 kicking meters. But unfortunately just lacked a bit of direction in that second half, and the whole team off the back of that suffered as well a little bit. His first half was unreal, and he didn't play a bad game necessarily, but I just feel like in the second half, they lacked a bit of direction in their sets, and unfortunately weren't getting out of their own end in attack either. Just really unfortunate way to finish this game, particularly when they had all the momentum. DeBellin, Molo, Sewer, they've just given the Raiders an opportunity that if this Knights and Dolphins game goes to a draw, they have the chance to go into the finals. The Dragons nearly made the finals. They only had to win this game. They were very close to playing finals football this season, but unfortunately they couldn't get the job done. It's going to be an interesting off-season. I think they're going to take a lot of confidence away from this season, though, still, from going to being at the start of the year called the favourite for the wooden spoon to coming out and nearly making finals. It's definitely going to put them in good stead going into next year. Yes, they lose Lomax, which is a massive loss for them. They get Valentine Holmes into this side. They might be signing Corey Horsburgh. They were going to sign Corey Horsburgh. I don't know what's happened to that. They might even be signing Regan Campbell-Gillard. But again, I don't know what's happened to that signing. It's sort of gone a bit cold, the news around Regan Campbell-Gillard going to the Dragons. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. They're going to be getting some great recruits in next year regardless. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season if they get a Regan Campbell-Gillard in there, if they get a Valentine Holmes in there as well, depending on where he plays. They're going to have a very solid team going into next year, and it's going to be very exciting to see what they can dish up next year as well. But a really disappointing end to their season for me. Really disappointing, particularly when they had the opportunity to win this game. Eisenhuth as well defensively, 51 tackles, 0 missed. 27 tackles, 0 missed there for DeBellin. As I said, they had the ingredients to win. They just couldn't get the job done at the end of the day. Defensively, they just couldn't hold out the Raiders in that second half. And yeah, it was just a really unfortunate way for them to end the year. As for the Raiders, pretty poor start to the game. It took them about 15 minutes to warm into it. But once they did, Danny Levi, Xavier Savage obviously scoring. Their outside backs really started to hum, particularly Xavier Savage and Albert Hopewade. 265 metres of 23 runs for Albert Hopewade. He was an absolute weapon of mass destruction. Scored a try in there as well. Xavier Savage, so did he with 129 metres, 3 tackle busts. He was great there on the sting. I thought that Matsumoko had a great game to end the year. If they don't go on to play finals, obviously, if the Dolphins and the Knights don't go to a draw, I think it's a great way for Matsumoko to end the year. 222 metres, 16 runs, 2 tackle busts, had a try assist and a line break assist in there as well. 23 tackles. What a game there for Matsumoko. Ethan Strange and Fogarty a bit quiet with their running game. I know that Ethan Strange, he's one of his best qualities in that number 6 is his ability to run the football as a running 6 and set up opportunities, but didn't have too many runs in this game, only the 6 runs for 49 metres for him. Still had the 3 tackle busts, 27 tackles. Thought he was solid in that regard, but I would have liked to have seen him try and test the defensive line a little bit more. Papali'i and Tarpanay through the middle was strong and really handled these Dragons forwards well, even though you had DeBellin, who's an absolute freak that ran for 200 plus metres, and all of those other guys, Molo, Eisenhuth. They still, I guess, by the end of the game, won that forward battle there. 149 metres there for Tarpanay, 127 for the big Josh Papali'i. Big Hudson Young too on the edge, 221 metres. He scored a try, had 17 runs, 6 tackle busts, 34 tackles. He was outstanding. Big Hudson Young. Simi Sasangi as well. 9 runs, 100 metres. I thought he was very impressive. I think it was one of Morgan Smithy's better running games in this one as well. Run the football a little bit more. He's had some big defensive weeks over the past few weeks, but since the start of the season, has sort of struggled to, I guess, cause havoc with his running game. But I thought in this game, he had some really nice carries. Corey Horsburgh off the bench, obviously scoring the winning try. How good was that off the kick? Definitely wasn't expecting that to be a try whatsoever. I thought that the other team had knocked on, the Dragons had knocked it on, but watching the replay back, it just bounced off the hip, bounced straight into Corey Horsburgh's arms, and he scored that try. Absolutely unbelievable. What a game for him to have if it is his last game as a Canberra Raider. It is definitely one of the better ones I've seen from him. 35 tackles, 0 missed, 85 metres ran. Had a line break assist and a tackle bust in there as well. Really solid game from him. And Anna Mariota, who I thought also had a really nice impact off the bench for the Raiders. Great game for the Raiders and the Dragons. Obviously, really unfortunate way for them to end the year. When they had it in their grasp, they weren't able to get the win. And look, very keen to see both of these sides next year and if they can make the top 8. And speaking of two teams in the top 8, the Bulldogs and the Cowboys, it went completely the opposite way to where I thought this game was going to go. And the Cowboys making a statement, peaking at the right time of the year, 44-6 over the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs have fallen off a cliff in 2 weeks. 44% of the ball, 63% completions. In regards to errors, 15 errors, 5 penalties conceded, missed tackle count, 37 missed tackles in this game. They've fallen off a little bit of a cliff here. And look, the missed tackles is something I'm not too worried about because a big part of why they're the best defensive team is not so much a low missed tackle count, but it's the scramble D. Next man up makes the next tackle. Unfortunately, they struggled a little bit in this game. They changed up a bit of their rotation as well. It says in the team list that Kiraz and Crichton were the centres, But Critter and Kiraz were on the right side. Kiraz went back to the wing on the right side with Crichton, and Sewer and Eli Clark were on the left side there, centre and wing. Eli Clark was in the centres. Jonathan Sewer was on the wing. I thought it went quite well in some aspects. There were some, great moments shown. Jonathan Sewer running the full field, only just getting taken down at the last minute. Some really nice moments in there for the Dogs. I just feel like they lacked Burton's kicking game. I think that not having that kicking game to get them out of their own end and then to plant the Cowboys in their own end, I thought hurt them a little bit. But I still feel like regardless, even if Burton was in this side, I feel like they still would have lost. Their kicking game for me was a big factor, but I think more so the scramble D sort of fell off a little bit. They weren't scrambling as much as what they usually do in regards to their defense. Falling off tackles with the next guy up, it just wasn't really there. As I said, they're falling off a bit of a cliff here. It'd be interesting to see their response going into the start of the final series, even in regards to their forwards. And I think, again, this is another big part as to why they're falling off a little bit, because teams are starting to recognise, hey, these guys aren't big. This is a small forward pack. We've got the forward pack to match it, if not be better than these guys. And they go at 100 miles an hour, next to these small forwards like Bailey Hayward, Curtis Moran. They really go hard. I think Max King coming back into this side has been a big plus for them. He gets through a ton of work, but unfortunately, they have been a bit manhandled by two teams now in a row, in Manly and the Cowboys, 44-6. It's just not what you want to see from the Bulldogs heading into a final series, especially when they've been so dominant all year. I'm a little bit worried about the Dogs now. I'm a little bit worried. I'm hoping that they turn it around going into next week with Burton coming back into the side, Sherry Addo-Carr coming back into the side. They're going to be full strength going into next week. There's going to be no excuses next week as well. This is going to be very interesting to see where they're at going into next week as well. Just want to give a few shout-outs in this Bulldogs side before we move on to the Cowboys. Critter, I thought he had a pretty decent game, 96 metres, 12 runs there. He also had 41 post-contact at a tackle bust. I thought that Critter played quite well. I thought that Kiraz, 119 metres, was still very strong coming out of his own end. Tough. It's worrying to see that he had a bit of a shoulder injury. He had to come off a little bit early, only a few minutes early, but he did have to come off a little bit early there. Jacob Kiraz, they've got the minutes mixed up between Critter and Kiraz there, but Kiraz had to come off a little bit early with a shoulder concern. It's not the best news you want to see heading into a final series. Hopefully he's 100%, but it didn't look good at all for Kiraz there. He was sort of couldn't really have much movement in his shoulder. It caused, I believe, the Murray Taulagi, the second last try before the end of the game. He couldn't really save that one. Couldn't do much about that one at all. But in regards to the rest of his game, I thought he was solid. I thought that Tracy did some nice work as well, just in their spread sets. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get everything to come off. They couldn't really finish too many of their sets, and the sets that they did complete, they didn't complete the way they wanted to. They weren't able to get the repeat set. They weren't able to get into the own end of the Cowboys. Nothing was really coming off for them, and Cowboys had a lot of answers with their defense, and it's been a criticism of the Cowboys. The Cowboys in their defense, they've been a really poor defensive side at stages this season, but their defense in this game I thought was great. And look, there was plenty of missed tackles in there as well for the Cowboys. You go to the missed tackle count here, 31 missed tackles is still quite a lot, but I guess the Cowboys scrambled more than what the Bulldogs did in this game, and it was very evident because they were shutting down a lot of the Bulldogs' opportunities to go from a side that was leaking 20 to 25 points a game, only leaking 6. It is a big defensive improvement. Attacking-wise, though, Murray Taulagi and Kyle Felt were outstanding. Kyle Felt particularly, he's one of his last regular season game for the Cowboys. Very close to his last game for the Cowboys as well before he goes over to St. Helens and grits the bag over there. 16 runs, 196 metres, 7 tackle busts. And obviously scored 2 tries as well. He was an absolute beast. Val Holmes, 128 metres, 36 post-contact metres there as well, 4 tackle busts. What a weapon. Drinkwater, 6 tackle busts, 167 metres. Dearden was outstanding as well with his running game. The kicking game of Clifford I thought was huge. And we were talking so much about Burton this season in his kicking game. He taps the ball, it goes 70 metres. It was pretty much the opposite effect here. But for Clifford, The ball was just, going wherever he wanted it to. Great kicking game. He ran the ball a few times. It was really solid to see, setting up a lot of opportunities on that right-hand side too. Clifford, his ball playing is first class. And again, we've said it before already, but it is one of those guys where going over to the Super League has helped him tremendously. He's had a huge, huge season in the past few games that he's played. He's only played, I think, 4 or 5, maybe 6 games this season, and all of those have been class. He's really improved. Taumalolo, a big part of this win as well. 19 tackles, 0 missed, 125 metres. He was a gun. Halem Lukey, 157 metres, 4 line breaks, 8 tackle busts. 19 tackles and 0 missed as well there for him. Reece Robson, 27 tackles, 0 missed. I mean, you look at the defense through the middle, a lot of these forwards having 0 missed tackles. Only 1 missed there for the big Ruben Cotter. I still feel like Nanai has a bit to work out in regards to his defense. Still made 27 tackles, but he did miss 6. So there is a bit to work out there for him. In regards to some other performances here, McIntyre started in this game rather than coming off the bench. He was supposed to come off the bench, but ended up starting with Jordan McLean stepping out. 173 metres, 55 post contact. He was a weapon and really started the game strong. I thought that Harrison Edwards was strong coming off the bench too. Went into hooker for the last 15 or so minutes and did a great job as well. Neem was solid, 16 runs, 147 metres. You just had some really nice forward performance as well. They got a lot of go forward, and off the back of that, they did some great things as well. Off the back of Clifford, Dearden's running game and deception with his ball playing as well. Robson coming out of dummy half and making some opportunities. Drinkwater in those roaming sets like a second 5'8". The Cowboys, it's the best game easily they've played all season, and a big part of that is their defense as well. Defended very strongly, were really holding the Bulldogs into their own end. And I think, as I said, the Bulldogs, they missed Burton coming out of their own end. But I think that a lot of teams are starting to figure out, hey, these forwards, they're not the biggest forwards in the league. We can run amok over them. And they've been certainly doing that over the past few weeks as well. So the Bulldogs need to turn things around going into next week, going into the final series. Cowboys, absolutely massive win. Now let's talk about the Panthers and the Gold Coast Titans. 18-12, the final scoreline. What did I say in the preview? I said, I think the Panthers will win, but I wouldn't count out the Gold Coast Titans. It was 6-4 at halftime, 18-12 the final scoreline. The Titans were in front at halftime too with the conversion. I thought the Titans were outstanding. It's a great way for them to end the year. I wouldn't be discrediting their performance at all. To keep it head-to-head with the Panthers, that are pretty much full strength minus Nathan Cleary. Jamin Jolliffe and Mo Fotuaika, their first stints were outstanding. Jaden Campbell at fullback was an absolute gun, 182 metres. That try that he scored were those 2 steps going past, I think it was, might have been Liam Martin. He stepped right around and left Liam Martin hanging, and then stepped back on the inside and really left Dylan Edwards for dead as well, and then scored that try. Absolutely insane. What a great try. He also had Randall as well, who on the edge was carving up 112 metres, also 46 tackles, absolute weapon. For him to, start the year as a hooker, coming into this squad as a hooker, he's played more lock forward than he has hooker this season, and then moving into an edge back row spot for the last game of the season, absolutely kills it. I also thought that the debutant, Arama Hull, I thought he had some nice moments as well. Only played 22 minutes, but started in the back row. 39 run meters, 7 runs. Not the worst performance. I thought he was pretty solid there with some of his carries. Klesser Haas too, unfortunately, had a few errors in this game. 4 handling errors in this one. Just not his night, unfortunately, giving the Panthers a lot of ball in that second half. When you give the Panthers a lot of ball, unfortunately, they score some points on you. Off the back of Alamotti, 170 metres, Toto, 214 metres, 214 metres for Taruva, and then 225 metres there for big Dylan Edwards. They were getting through their work coming out of their own end. I thought Jerome Luai had a really nice game as well. The second half was outstanding from him, had some really nice touches, some great kicking metres as well, kicked for 165 metres, a lot of those short kicks as well. I thought that Fisher Harris, in his last official home game as a Penrith Panther, 96 run meters, had a tackle bust in there as well with 30 tackles, only 1 missed. Big Isaiah Yo-Yo, the big yo-yo in Isaiah Yo. 126 run meters there, 14 runs, 3 tackle bust, 46 tackles, 0 miss. It's just what Isaiah does. Got to get used to it. Some big bench performances. I thought that Liam Henry was outstanding. 128 run meters, 2 tackle busts, 42 post contact, 28 tackles, 0 miss. And then Lindsay Smith, 191 meters, 21 runs, 71 post contact meters. He had a tackle bust in there as well with 29 tackles, only 1 miss. He was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Lindsay Smith. He played a lot of his footy on the edge as well. Did a really, really solid job. Lindsay Smith off the bench, a huge performance for him. But a big performance for the Penrith Panthers. Really strong through the middle. Sort of capitalised on the errors of the Gold Coast Titans in that second half. Had a lot of the ball, completed at 68%, which is a little bit concerning there for the Panthers. I am a bit worried for them, even with Cleary coming back into this side. They got to really work hard in getting that completion rate up. It's sort of the time of year you'd expect them to peak. It does worry me that this game was 18-12 and not 44-0, really. It should have been a big win here by the Panthers. Credit to the Titans in their performance. They did a very good job, but unfortunately, the Panthers, they've got a little bit to work on as this finals series progresses. I think they're going to be really lucky to have Nathan Cleary back, but at the same time, they've still got a bit to work on if they do want to go back to back to back to back. Panthers, a little bit concerning. As for the Titans, great way for them to end the year. Cannot wait for this final series to get underway. That's full time. See you in the next one.